Imagine this. It's the dead of night and you're alone in your apartment. The city outside has gone quiet, leaving only the hum of your fridge. The air feels heavy, like someone's holding their breath. Then, a cold draft brushes your neck, even though every window is locked. You hear it, a faint whisper calling your name from the darkness. These aren't just tales spun for chills. These are real stories lived by real people in apartments just like yours. Tonight, I'm sharing 3 true haunted apartment stories so unsettling, they'll make you question what's lurking in your own home. Stay with me until the end, if you're brave enough. In 2017, Emily, a 24-year-old graphic designer, moved into a small apartment in Chicago. It was her first time living alone, and she was buzzing with excitement. The place was old, creaky wooden floors, chipped paint, and that musty smell of time. The landlord warned her about finicky pipes and loud neighbors, but he didn't mention the mirror. It was a tall, ornate thing, bolted to the bedroom wall, its frame carved with intricate swirls that seemed to shift if you stared too long. Emily thought it was quirky, maybe even a treasure, but at night, when the city grew quiet, the mirror started to feel wrong. She'd catch glimpses of movement in its reflection, shadows darting across the room when she was alone. One night, while brushing her hair, she froze. In the corner of the mirror, a figure moved, quick and silent. She whipped around, heart hammering, but the room was empty. "Just my imagination," she whispered, trying to laugh it off. But deep down, she wasn't so sure. Weeks went by and the mirror became a fixation. She'd wake at 3 a.m., her skin prickling, feeling eyes on her. Her gaze would drift to the mirror, and sometimes, just for a heartbeat, she'd see her, a pale girl with hollow eyes and tangled hair staring back. The girl's lips moved, mouthing words Emily couldn't hear. Emily started draping a sheet over the mirror, but it didn't help. At night, she'd hear scratching, like fingernails clawing at glass from the other side. It was faint at first, but it grew louder, more desperate. One night, she'd had enough. Armed with a screwdriver, she decided to tear the mirror down. The air in the room thickened as she worked, like a storm was brewing indoors. Her hands shook, sweat beading on her forehead. When the final bolt gave way, the mirror crashed to the floor, shattering into 1,000 jagged pieces. That's when she saw it, etched into the wall behind the mirror in crude, uneven letters. "Don't leave me." Emily packed her bags and left the next morning. She never looked back. But months later, a man named Ryan moved into that same apartment. He posted on a local forum, his words laced with panic. He described waking up to find shards of glass arranged on his floor in the shape of a face he swore he'd never seen before. He hadn't even known about the mirror. What was that girl in the mirror? A spirit trapped in the glass, a plea from beyond. Emily still avoids mirrors in her bedroom, and she says she'll never live alone again. In 2019, Javier, a single father, rented a modern apartment in Miami for himself and his 6-year-old daughter, Sophia. It was a fresh start after a messy divorce, and the place seemed perfect. Big windows, a view of the skyline, and enough space for Sophia to play. But Sophia, who was usually a chatterbox, grew quiet after they settled in. She'd tug at Javier's sleeve and whisper, "There's a man here," pointing to empty corners of the apartment. Javier chalked it up to her imagination. Kids see things, right? But then the oddities began. The TV would flicker on at night, tuned to static, its white noise filling the apartment. Doors Javier locked before bed would be wide open by morning. One evening, while chopping vegetables for dinner, he heard Sophia giggling in her room. He smiled, thinking she was playing with her dolls. But then Sophia walked in from the balcony, her cheeks flushed from the evening breeze. "Who were you talking to?" Javier asked, his voice tight. Sophia tilted her head, her eyes wide. "The man. He says he lives here." Javier's heart sank. He started digging into the building's history, expecting nothing but old permits or renovation records. Instead, he met Rosa, an elderly neighbor with trembling hands and a knowing look. "You're in 4B, aren't you?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. She told him about Carlos, a tenant who'd lived in that apartment years ago. He died there, a heart attack, the police said. But Rosa leaned closer, her eyes darting. He was angry, didn't want to leave. The disturbances escalated. Javier woke to find muddy footprints trailing from the front door to Sofia's bed, the air heavy with the sharp tang of cigarette smoke. No one in the family smoked. One night, he bolted awake, his chest tight. At the foot of his bed stood a shadowy figure, its eyes unblinking, its presence radiating rage. Javier couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The figure didn't speak, but the air pulsed with its unspoken demand. "This is my home." Desperate, Javier called a local medium. She performed a cleansing ritual, burning sage and leaving a single cigarette as an offering. A strange choice, but she insisted. The air lightened, the disturbances stopped. Sofia smiled again, but she still refuses to sleep alone. "He's gone," she told Javier, "but he's not happy." Javier and Sofia moved out soon after. The apartment sits empty now, its windows dark. No one stays long in 4B. In 2022, Aisha, a college student in London, found a deal too good to pass up, an apartment near her university for half the usual rent. The building was old, Victorian, with crumbling brick and walls so thin she could hear her neighbors' conversations. Aisha didn't care. She was broke, and it was a place to crash. But on her first night, as she lay in bed, she heard something. A low, murmuring voice seeping through the walls. She figured it was a neighbor, maybe on a late-night call. She banged on the wall and the voice stopped. The next night it returned, louder, clearer. It wasn't English. It sounded ancient, like a chant from a forgotten time. Aisha recorded it on her phone, her hands trembling, but when she played it back there was nothing but static. The voice became a nightly ritual, always at 1:11 a.m., waking her with its relentless murmur. Objects started moving, books tumbling off shelves, keys vanishing only to reappear in odd places, like inside a cereal box. One night, Aisha woke to find her laptop open, a blank document glowing on the screen. Typed in the center was a single word: listen. Aisha confided in her folklore professor, who raised an eyebrow. "That building," he said, "it's got a history." He told her it had once housed a secretive society in the 1800s, rumored to conduct rituals to contact the dead. The basement, now boarded up, was their gathering place. Aisha's skin crawled. She confronted her landlord, who shrugged, admitting the low rent was because tenants don't stay. "They hear things," he muttered, avoiding her gaze. Aisha moved out the next week, but not before leaving a voice recorder running overnight. When she checked it, there was a single, clear sentence in a language she didn't recognize. She had it translated by a linguist friend. The words chilled her to the bone. "You cannot silence me." Aisha now lives with roommates far from that building, but she swears, in her dreams, she still hears that voice, whispering just out of reach. These stories, Emily's mirror, Javier's unseen tenant, Aisha's voice in the walls, prove that sometimes the places we call home hold secrets we're not meant to uncover. Have you ever felt it? A chill in your apartment, a sound that doesn't belong, a shadow that moves just out of sight? Share your story in the comments. I read everyone. And if these tales sent a shiver down your spine, hit that subscribe button. But only if you're ready for more. Lock your doors tonight. You never know what might be waiting.